Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Code with Nabil. So today I found a very interesting problem which has been asked in Amazon as well. So the problem is run length encoding. I have you can check this problem here on the website amazon.jobs.google.com. You can see this problem has been explained here, and I've also seen a lot of Leetcode discussions that this problem has been also been asked a lot of times. So I thought it's a wonderful problem and it's a better way to understand how strings in Python work. So let's understand the problem first and dive into the deep conceptual overview of this problem. So the problem basically says we can have a non-empty string of n characters, n length. Let's say we have from A to Z, right? So let's say we have this input string as AA, ZZ. What the problem here says that we have to encode the string in a way that we'll have, in this particular scenario, we'll have 3A 3Z. So basically we have to append with the letter the count, the number of time it has appeared. But there is one constraint or one catch here. Let's say we have A 10 times, right? Or let's say 12 times. What we have to do here is we cannot write here 12A, because the problem statement says we cannot write here as 12A. This will be wrong. So what we have to do here is we have to break it into like this: 9A and 3A, just like it's been shown here. So from this thing we can see that whenever we reach the counter for 9, we need to take this number out with this character and append it to a result string, and then we have to count again from 1. So that's what basically the problem says. So let's dive into the first solution, how we can solve it. But first let's understand here only. So let me erase this. So let's say you are given this input string of length n. You're given an input string of length n, and we have to solve this problem. So def encode, and we have a string here, right? So from the look of it, what we can do is we have a string here. I'll just write one string here: A B C. So the expected output should be 4A 3B and 3C. What we can do here is we can simply run a for loop, iterate over all the strings, and we can also maintain one counter here. Let's say current length or count, whatever you want to have. Current length equals to 1, and then we can have a resultant string which will be empty at first. And then what we will do is we will just iterate over the entire string for I in range len of string. And then what we can do is we can just do a simple check here that when we have to append this in the resultant string. So there is a case here when we see that our current character is not equal. A current character, let's say current character is here, it's not equal to the previous character. What we can do is we can add the current length and the previous character into this resultant string. So for example, if we see string of I not equals to string of I plus 1, and there's one more condition. We need to make sure that if we are not exceeding 9 A's, right? So we have to write another condition that and current length equals to 9, and then we can append it to a resultant string. I think I should move on to the code here because the writing is really getting messy here. So let's move to the first implementation here. So okay, we'll do this. We'll see what the first approach can be. So in the first approach, what we can do is we can have a variable here, current length, Okay, and we'll have a result string. We just iterate over our entire input string for I in range len of string, and then what we can do here is we can just give like a simple check here if our string of I, let's say we reverse the check here, our string of I equals to string of I plus 1. When we see that our length, let me put an example here as well, a b b b. So when we see that we are here, alright, on the first iteration on 0, when I is equal to 0, we are here. So if string of I equals to string of I plus 1, and we also see that current length is less than 9, which means we haven't reached that threshold mark, what we can do is we can just append it, result equals to current length plus our string of I. So alright, no, what we can do here is we just need to append the counter. So what we will do here is we'll just append the counter, and in the else clause we'll actually be, because at this point we know that our string is equals to next character and it's also less than 9, which means we just need to increment the current length. We don't have to add it to a resultant string. So in the else clause we'll actually add it here, result plus equals to str current length and plus a string of I. Okay, once we do that, we need to reset a current length equals to 1, so that for the next character it doesn't start with the already incremented current length. That's very important here. Okay, so there is one edge case as well. So yeah, when we come to the last iteration, we have to write that if a current length is not 0, which just means something is there, then we just need to add the last character also in the resultant list. So we will just do like this, result plus equals to str current length plus string of I, and then finally we will return the result. Okay, so I think let me just go give an overview. We start with the current length of 1. We have an empty string of result. We keep iterating a string here till the end of string, and then we just check at every iteration if current character is not equal to the next character, is equal to the next character, and a current length is have not reached 9, is less than 9. Then what we do is we just increment the current length. It means we are having more A's, 2 A's, 3 A's, like that. And once any of this condition fails, that means if current string is not equal to this or current length is greater than 9, then what we come in this else clause, and what we do here is we just append the current length, which is current iteration which has been maintaining, and then we append it with the previous character. And then once we do that, we reset the current length to 1, and finally when we come out of the loop, over here we see if we handle the last condition. Over here we handle last character. Okay, so we are handling last character, so over here we'll have -1. I think that's it. Let's try to run this code. Okay, so I have written a sample main here. We have, I think, 13 A's. I think, yeah, we're having 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 A's, 2 B's, 4 C's and 2 D's. Let's try to run this and see what's the output here. So we have 9 A's and 4 A's, which counts for 13 A's. We have 2 B's, we have 4 C and 2 D. So the output is perfect. Alright. Okay, so it's, sorry, this wasn't safe, because I need to comment this function out. It's calling this function. Oh wait, there's something going wrong here. Okay, so since we are going out of range here, we need to handle this condition. Control S, and yeah, we are back to our original result: 9a, 4b, 2c and 2d. So let's understand the time complexity and space complexity of this solution. Although we are using just single for loop here, what we are not seeing here is, what we are doing here is we are appending it to a string every time we see that this condition is not fulfilled. So in Python, the way it works is, when we try to append it to a string, it creates a separate copy and it goes till the end. So in one for loop, when you iterate into the end of the string, you're doing an n square operation. So this is an n square operation. And since we're not using any extra space here, so it's a constant space here. But can we improve here? Can we improve this? Yes, we can. What we can do is, we can use instead of using this empty string, we can use a Python list here, and in that way we don't have to iterate every time. We can just append it to the end of our list, and at the end we can just join it. So we'll just be done with O(n) of operation, but we'll be using an extra space here, so that will be a big of n. So yeah, let's try to work on that solution. So in that case, again, we'll have our current length, which is equals to 1. We will have our output string, this time not an empty string but an list, and then we'll just run a for loop here. For I in range 1 len of string, we'll go to the end of the string, and then what we will do here is, what we can do here, we can get a current character equals to a string I, and we can also get the previous character, which is equals to a string of I minus 1, and then we can just run a simple check if current character is not equals to previous character, and again we need to have another check here, and or current length equals to 9. So either we are seeing that a current character is not equal to previous character, or current length has reached 9. In either case, what we do is we just output string dot append. What we'll first append? We'll first append the count, the current length, and then we'll append the previous character seen, because suppose we are like a b b. So when we compare these two characters, we see that b is not equals to a, and what we do is we append the current length, and since a is stored in a previous character variable, we have to append it with the previous character, not the current character. Alright. Okay, so in else case, what we do, okay, so once we do this, we also need to reset our current length to 0, because otherwise it will have the previously incremented current length. Else we can just have without an else as well, current length plus equals to 1. Okay, so once we are out of the for loop, again we have to handle our edge case, which is the final iteration, in which we can't compare, we don't have another character after it, so we are particularly on a last character. So what we can do is, if current length is there, what we can do is we can just copy these two lines, and we'll have a current length, and for the character, what we can do is we can simply get a last character from the string, and then we can just return it. But this time we'll not return, we have to return a string, not an array or list. So what we'll do is we'll write Python join and output string. So I think that's the solution. Over here we are using the time complexity big of n, because we are using one for loop, and we are not using empty string, and we're not going it over and over again. So big of n, but we are using an extra space here, which will be big of n here. Alright, so let's try and run this solution. So I know this is running the second one, but for the sake of your understanding, let me comment the first solution out, and you can see again we are left with same output. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments or any more feedbacks on what should I do next, Definitely leave it in the comment box below, and see you until the next video. Bye bye.